नहीं, this is already
इसको
there.
हाँ इसको भी जरूर
जरूरत है, अरे बाबा. Oh. Only with wires.
Yeah.
We would need a round of applause.
Thank you.
For it's a wonderful moment for all of us. We're grateful, sir. Thank you so much for this moment.
It is our great pleasure and good fortune to have Professor D.P. Agarwal, ex-chairman of UPSC, a renowned academician, and among us. Professor Agarwal is a chief mentor of the RISE group, and he helps us absolutely strategically, as well as with lot of resources, lot of guidance on a day-to-day basis. I am personally indebted to him for all the guidance that he gives us. He is fully involved, to ensure that we create the absolutely right mix of content and teaching and pedagogy for all of you at RISE IAS, so that we actually craft out success out of you, and you all become a great. You all have a great future ahead. So with that, I will not belabor this point at all. I would hand over the mic to Professor Agarwal. It is for your opportunity again to have this as an interaction, interactive discussion. He will share his views, but if you have any of your things, which are in your mind, please,
Thank
sir, help them, with their thoughts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, some flowers for you in honor.
That's okay, it's done.
A round of applause for
I don't know
our
what it is.
CEO.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Let's get to the,
Yeah.
let's get to the actual business.
Good morning, friends. It's always a pleasure when I look at young people, particularly though. Can you hear me? The last minute? Now, if you have any discussion among yourself, please tell me. Otherwise, be with me. Okay? It's a general principle. Whenever I interact with students like you, I try to understand that what is that which stops you not to become successful. There are few very simple rules. When you decide to come to do preparation for civil services, was it your decision? Can you raise hands how many decided yourself? Okay, good. Why I ask this question? The motivational levels are different when you decide to take a challenge yourself. The motivational levels and your readiness is different when your parents ask you to do this, because that may not be your interest. For civil service is more important that it is your decision, you are motivated, and you are ready to solve. Sometimes when parents say that you prepare, I have known students and candidates who will sit 10 hours and actually will not study. How many of you are those who sit 8 hours in the day but you don't learn equivalent to 1 hour? Is there anybody? Understand what I am saying? That if you spend 1 hour, what is the outcome you will have in 1 hour? Will it be equivalent to the full thing which you learn? Will it be half of it? Will it be 10%? What has been your experience? They will be different, I know. And I also tell you, there is nothing wrong saying 100% is not possible. I presume this. So now let's look at how many of you think after 1 hour reading your retention is 50%. I also know that this is very rare. So now imagine that I think both of you are in a good habit of talking to each other. One of you can come out, the last bench. Yeah, one of you can come out. Because this distracts me, you know. There's nothing wrong. One of you can sit there. Okay. So the main issue is your learnability. Many of you are in here may not be in the top levels of university. How many were in the top 5 in your subject? Top 5 of your subject in the university? No. I know. Nothing unusual. Why I am asking this simple question is to look at how much are you motivated, because in your 10 to 12 years of life, you have never been pressurized to do so much of reading and so much of retention. And that way this exam is different. Secondly, this is not what you are taught in the university completely. So for example, if you do BA Economics in university, they will only teach you subject of economics. But they will not teach you something called general studies. They will not teach you something about, at this level in the university, about India, its culture, its relation. But some of you who were good, who has good retention, who has good learnability, you could remember what you studied in your school. How many of you were in CBSE school? UPSC, being a central government exam, rely on structures in education pattern which is run by the central government. So NCERT books in CBSE is the foundation for all civil service people. Is that correct? So first thing which starting now, in the first 2-3 months, along with other reading, they should start reading books from NCERT beginning from 8th standard till 11th. There is no need to read about science, books of 11th, 12th. There is also no need to read books of science and maths of 10th. In UPSC, the mathematics is not a mathematics. It is simple arithmetic, understanding numbers and manipulation, using some formulas, simple formulas of statistics. So this candidates who have not been in science, many of you will not be in science here, there is a normal tendency to get frightened about the word called mathematics. Is that correct or wrong? So let me assure you that this is not mathematics. Each of you, whether you're in the West Bengal board or in the central board, till 8th, 9th you all do mathematics. That is the only thing is required. Let me also give you a comparison. The exam in the bank service have much more difficult number operation than for civil service. So first of all, please get off your mind that mathematics will frighten you. Correct? So what is now question is that, are you motivated yourself because you want to come to civil service? You are ready to work hard. This has not been your practice in the past to learn more. Now that is as far as the subjects are concerned. But in the prelim paper, paper 1, the questions are formulated in the area of social science or geography or history based on the discussion in the public in the last 1 year, 2 years. So if there is the issue of women empowerment which has been discussed, though in social science you learn about women development, women empowerment, but the question may be formed on the discussion which has happened in the public memory society in last 1.5 years. Roughly about 30% question will come from that kind of understanding. On the one hand, you are reading a book on history, geography, political science, sociology. The question may directly not come from the book. UPSC questions are not direct. University questions are direct. So you require more background to prepare yourself to accept what is being done. And it's very simple. You must read one newspaper per day, possibly one in English, one in vernacular, and you also read one magazine minimum. While you are preparing for civil service, schemes of Government of India must be learned through on a regular basis. It can be obtained from ministry websites. It can also be obtained from magazines like Yojana. So as a part of your learning curve, it is important that you find one slot reading newspaper both in English and vernacular. Some of you can do it in Bengali, some could do other. And one magazine minimum, Yojana regularly. Then you would realize that you are much better off than learning the class work. Idea is that as a civil servant, you must have your own thinking, your own ideas. So even it is the same question, each candidate can answer differently based on the knowledge base the candidate has. After all, if you read one book, everybody must answer similarly. If each of you answer similarly, there will not be a difference. So those who bring new points by reading elsewhere, they score. So it is not a very defined learning. It is much wider learning. Your teacher in the class may teach something, but you should have another hour to back it up, to make your own notes. How many of you started making your own notes? Without making notes in your own language, you will not be able to write correct answers. Because you can't mug up. Can you mug up answer? No, you can't. You have to understand it and you have to present your own words. So you have to develop this habit. You read, for example, 1 hour. For 15 minutes you make your notes. Or you make your notes simultaneously. Now these notes are not always the same. If you read these notes after, say, a month time, you will find that some more improvement is required. So as you mature, as you get more information, more knowledge from different books, in mind you, the books must be the good books which are used by central universities. Because paper setters would come from best of the universities of the country. Your competition is with not people from Bengal, not people from Orissa, but all over India. So the level of learning is nothing short of syllabi of Delhi University, maybe Aligarh University, BHU. I mean, that's the level of syllabi. UPSC syllabi written. You have seen UPSC syllabi? It is written not in big details. One topic is written, in everything around this topic can be asked. Like in the university exam, you would say it is out of course. UPSC, there is nothing out of course. Even if one line is written, anything around that you should know. So, first thing, you must be open to read as much as you can. Beyond your classes, try to improve your learning better. I normally find students who just start civil service, their retention power to begin with is very low. Reason are, there are lots of questions in your mind. What will happen? What will UPSC expect? Will I be selected? Now these things remain in your mind. And they try to confuse you all the time in your study. So in the beginning when you are doing CBSE books, this fear has to be removed. Once you decided to come here, you should come with the understanding that I would at least require minimum of 2 years, maybe 3 years of study. Is that right? Because you can be selected in the first attempt. There are people who are selected in the first attempt. There is nothing wrong about it. But that number is small. That number would be as low as 18% or 19%. Bulk of the selection occurs in the second attempt and the third attempt. So once you have come to do civil service, you should be with you about 3 years' time. Have you come with this view that you require 3 years? Kindly raise your hands. Will your parents, everybody support, society will support that you can struggle for 3 years? It will not happen, I can tell you. Many of you fall after 2 attempts. By the time you come third attempt, you are completely fatigued. Particularly girls candidate, there is a lot of pressure from family to get them married. From boys also, those who come from a little lesser financial background, there is a pressure to earn. It's a common sense, there is nothing unusual about it. But you should have clearly 3 attempts of correct preparation. First attempt can only be given, should only be given when you are sure by your own thinking that you will qualify prelim. Otherwise, don't give an attempt. Why I am saying so? Because there is nothing hidden in UPSC. All the past papers are available. If you can do those past papers, prepare new. Because every year paper is different. No question repeat ever. Even if there is a same theme, the degree of difficulty can vary. So you have to prepare for something new challenge. So based on the past, the new challenge through your learning and discussion, you predict your paper in yourself. If you are a bright student, you have learned better, you can think what paper may come this year. Have you ever done this exercise? That you predict the university exam paper? If you can, to a degree of difficulty about 80%, if you can think these are the kind of areas will be covered, I can assure you will be successful. Because the moment in UPSC you see a paper, and if you find everything is new, your motivation level come down. And concentrating on that day in exam becomes difficult. So what is an idea? Idea is to do newer things and newer things. Past paper is only as a guidelines. Now you can see, it is not only a coaching center which will provide you this analysis. In fact, lots of people do this. If you go to the website of any of the coaching center in the country, They will give you full analysis of paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, everything. But unless you analyze yourself, you don't make a success. And you already know the competition. You know the competition? Normally about 12 lakh candidates apply. 6 lakh actually appear for the prelim. And how many are selected in prelim?
13,000
Yeah, the number is, it is number of vacancies multiplied by 15. That's a thumb rule. And if you read the Gazette notification brought out by UPSC every year, they give these numbers. Any case could be about 12,000, 13,000, 15,000, covering all reservation policies. So if general category is about 45% or maybe 42%, that's the number you would require. SC/ST a number, OBC a number, and economically weaker is a number. Question paper is same. It is not a different question paper for anybody. So the degree of difficulty of question paper is same for general category, same for SC/ST. There is no difference. Only difference is that the merit would be made among them. Is that clear? So those who are here in the categories, please don't carry impression that your papers would be simpler. They will not be. Some of you are from reserve categories here? Any of you? Yeah, one. Anybody from OBC? So paper is same. The advantage is that if you got really good marks, say in the category which is open for merit student called general, you can occupy that seat. So it's an advantage for the reservation categories that if you are an OBC and your marks are very good, the OBC can get those candidates plus the OBC reservation. So that's a big challenge for the open category. Is that fine? I have never seen in my 11 years in UPSC that anybody who deserved really missed. So first question first, when should you make an attempt? If you are sure that you will not qualify, please don't make an attempt. Each attempt brings you demotivation. Does it gel in your mind? Does it help you at all? Or?
Yes,
Yeah. How many of you think you would appear taking a chance once? It has never happened. Without preparation, if you take a chance, sorry, no selection. When you are prepared and all India competition is so tougher, is then you decide to take this. When you look at the main paper, prelim had two papers, all of you know. Second is a qualifier. There again you have to prepare. You can't do that paper so easily. How many have seen a paper 2 already? I also suggest that make this as a practice. In your leisure time, look at these things. What kind of paper? What kind of paper in West Bengal? What kind of paper in, say, UPSC? So that you have an idea the kind of questions being asked this year. If I add all this, your work becomes more and more. So just look at back. 1 hour required for newspaper, magazines on a regular basis. You don't spend that time, do you? Each heading in the newspaper is crucial for you. For example, other day we had an environmental day. There was some day, no? It just passed. Did you read what is written in the newspaper? You didn't. If you read everything written in the newspaper, you actually don't require a textbook. Because the question would be formulated on what has been discussed now. They will not ask you what are the composition of air when it is polluted. This question will never be asked. The question would be asked whether in G20 there was a focus on sustainability, and based on that this has been the policy, please answer. So you was following G20, you were following the environmental issue in G20, the meeting decisions, India's commitment for environmental, and we said we'll have zero carbon by 2070. So you should understand what is zero carbon. So it is not reading those textbooks like you do in the university. And nobody will teach you. The group is here, they will still teach you books and subjects, but learning will come by yourself. So if you have 3 hours of direct teaching here, you should have 4 hours of learning by yourself. Typically for time management, for each student, I advise the following, but it is up to you. Normally I prefer, because when you are preparing full time, you are not engaged in other classes, are you? Are you preparing full time here? No? How many of you? What are you doing otherwise? You are doing college. Which year of college? Last semester. How many of you are in the college now? No, for you the work is very hard. It's been very rare situation when the last year college students come, because they are not prepared in much more in depth, because there is no time. The only possibility was, what is the graduation subject you have? BCom honors. You? Anybody else? Your subject? BCom? You? You're graduate. What was your graduation subject? So for you the honor subject was already there. So you would choose your option as history. So your all learning of 3 years of BA can be ready for that. It can also be ready for prelim. But you do not find time to read geography, social science, political science. Now that itself required 3 hours of learning in the CBSE books. So in most likelihood, you would come at a time when you will decide, I do nothing but only prepare civil service. If some of you in graduation have decided 2 years ago and slowly started preparing, there is a possibility that it will qualify prelim. Many students from IITs do. Because CBSE, reading CBSE book is not difficult, and most of the prelim paper come from based on CBSE books. I don't know whether you tell them this or not. All questions are followed on NCERT books, supported by one book. The preparation method is also simple. First you decide to choose your optional subject. Then you look at the books of CBSE, NCERT. Then you try to prepare for main. General Study 1, General Study 2, GS 3, GS 4. GS 1, 2, 3 covers your prelim completely. And when you come in December for the exam in May, you start concentrating more on. So first 6 months were preparing in depth, finding only 1 hour for prelim. But from December onward, find half time for prelim, half time for mains. Because in addition to the paper 2, which is qualifier, there are other 2 papers also qualifier. The English as a subject, in the language as a subject. Don't miss those start doing simultaneously. In fact, it's always better to prepare for your language in English in the beginning itself. And when there is a gap between the prelim and the main, the first month we devoted to them. Many a time it happens, 6 to 7% students fail in English and language. So if you fail in them, then you are out. Your all preparation gone down the drain. So optional subjects need to be prepared to ensure that you always pass in them. Don't push them. Also, don't push too much your subject which is optional. There are 4 subjects, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, carrying 1000 marks. If you can score 650 in them, you only require 100 more marks to qualify. And that is where most of you make a mistake. You choose a subject in option which is not your graduation subject, and you spend so much of time on it, you still get out of 500 marks something or 200. While there is a need to prepare 1000 marks of general study 1, 2, 3 and 4, and essay writing, so make 1250, and you should score 600 there, which is nothing, asking 50%. Because normally the minimum level people are selected in the last 3 years have been about 750, 780. So disproportionate time spent on optional subject only happens in those cases where you are taking subject other than your graduation. Like for example, he has history, for him nothing is required except filling the blanks of the type of questions being asked by UPSC. Subject he has read in 3 years' time. Anybody in economics here? BA economics? No. What are your subjects anyway? Your subject? BA? BCom. How many are from BCom? Is there a paper on BCom in? No. Accountancy is there. Will you be comfortable with it? Because you try to run away to do sociology, political science, please understand that you have not read that subject. It requires at least 1 year to know the vocabulary. It requires another year to get confidence, and you automatically do third attempt. You don't realize this ever. People keep on telling you that in prelim there is a paper on sociology, but there are only 4 questions, which you can do by reading only CBSE books. So this is a misnomer. This exam is prepared for GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 and essay. If you do that, you can make it to mains. Because whatever option you take, if it is in your own graduation subject, even by self-learning you can do it. But you require support for coaching in GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, in a practice of writing essays. What is given, if you look at the syllabi, it is a similar syllabi which is for prelim, paper 1. Am I right, ma'am? Am I right? Or am I wrong? Because if you look at paper 1 is the Indian art, culture and history. So medieval, the ancient history is done. Second paper is deals with economy, rules of the government. Third is economy and other social sector. So you actually cover everything. But unfortunately you start with mains, optional paper, and you devote so much of time in it, and you still get 50% because that's not your subject. You are also not like an IIT student or a good engineering student who knows the technique of answering. You know what do they do? What is the difference between you and them? Firstly, the curriculum they follow is very large. Engineering curriculum for 4 years is almost 40 papers. In those 40 papers, they have to write number of projects, number of theses, presentations, and so they develop this habit of learning a subject and presenting it well. So they do what is called point-wise learning. They read a chapter, out of the chapter they will say 15 bullet points. In the second reading, they try to fill up these bullet points. You per se have no practice of writing bullet points. And once you can write bullet points, you can always enlarge. So it becomes your own view. So your group would tell you how to write answers. If you look at main paper, there is another change. There is no freedom to write anything. The space is given. You have to write answer in that space. Though it looks very easy, but it's more difficult. If you have to write an answer in 100 words, you would know the subject well and choose in 100 words the best possible answer. Normally our tendency is to write quite a lot of gossip. The present examination does not require any gossip. Everything to the point, to the precise, and the most important point. I am advising your tutors here to make you do that. Throw to you more challenges. But please remember that for 3 hours of direct teaching, you at least require 4 hours at your place. Add to this 1 hour of newspaper and magazines and some extra browsing, so you are coming in about 9 hours per day. Now this 9 hour would change candidate to candidate. Once I came across a candidate who would look at the book, and just by looking at the book he would pick up the points. He may not require time. But there are people who read line by line. Most of you do line by line. So firstly, take time to read. If you are good to assimilate simultaneously, then you can cut time. Otherwise, you will first read time line by line. You will assimilate and make your notes. You take double the time. But this is the individual characteristics. I can't do much about it. You can improve if you want, but then you require practice. So for successful UPSC candidates, you would have a large knowledge, but you will be able to answer in 100 words. Similarly, in essay, they are given the space fixed. It's not required to have an essay run through full copy. There are 2 essays. Now, essay can be written only when can you write a good essay? You have read about a lot of knowledge with you. So it is the content which is important. It should be simple language, simple sentences, correct language, but more in-depth content. Content which is convincing, content which is backed by data. In UPSC exam, knowing data is most critical. If we are discussing population growth and health sector together, you must know the numbers of the various schemes and population and blah blah blah. So those who think that numbers are not important, this is completely wrong. If you know the numbers right, your answer would be more precise. If you are to address saying that in a limited budget, you have been asked of you, how could the health standard in country can be improved? If that is a simple question, you should know the figures and facts. You should know what various states are doing. So state policies, state comparisons, that is required. And I would suggest if your group as a tutors, you can list them the various reports which have come up in the last 1 to 2 years. There are lots of reports available. And you should find time, at least half an hour to look at those reports. So what I now said, it is not the textbook alone. It is your breadth of the knowledge acquired from number of places. Newspaper gives you information. Newspaper also gives you ideas. For example, if you look at the central page, there is an editorial. There are also lead articles. Lead articles are on a particular theme. For example, before election, there were a lot of paper discussions on election reforms. When election commissioner was changed, a lot of things were said how election commissioner should be chosen. So constitution. So many things you can easily find out if you continue to read. My difficulty is that you only read for exam. If we read for exam alone, the chance of success are limited. Because your competition is with the brightest of the lot in the country. And you should ask this question, why you should be selected? What is that in you that you do better than others? In this class, presuming I choose 1,000 students, 2,000 for interview, and there are 6 lakh candidates. There's something different in these 2,500. So you have to look at what is the difference in you. And if I go by simple manipulation of number, only out of this whole lot, 2 can come. Who are going to be the 2? It's up to you. You can increase but that's not a limitation. I'm only giving you a ballpark figure. You can make if you want. It's a good group. You discuss with each other, talk to each other, spend more time to understand. They can be 10. But this would be because of you. You must not hesitate. I don't know how much talk you have with each other. Do you talk to each other quite a lot? Did you discuss the issues? So that discussion among you is more critical. Your coaching can only help you ironing out some of your difficulties, but building your personality they can't do. They can't improve your learnability. They can give you methods, but you have to improve your learnability. So success mantra, work hard. If you work for 6 to 7 hours regularly average, now that's not easy. Is it easy? How many of you can do 7 hours? If you are sitting at home doing 7 hours, easy. You get up in the morning, take your breakfast, you are free by 8:30. You done 8 to 12, but not continuously. With a break of 20 minutes every hour. No phone. So those who are preparing civil service, mobile is out. You can tell your parents and friends that you can contact only in this hour. How many are ready to willing to do that? Everybody is required to do that. Because if one eye remain here, other eye remain on the book, you do neither the book nor this. So my suggestion to all of you, the period you study, for example, you are doing from 9 to 12, put your phone there. And at 12, take 20-minute breather, do whatever number of phones you want. You are not doing business. Are you doing business? You are not also doing market share. So nothing going to come. You can tell your parents or your friends, if there is a very serious matter, let them give a message and say you look after them. That you can make out a difference. You are very young people, good in health. The age group you are, your parents' age group is 50 to 60. None of them are beyond 60. Anybody's parents here beyond 60? Anybody's parent here? No. So till 60 they have also no problem health-wise. You need not worry what happened in the politics. Politics can wait for 3 hours. It won't matter whether it's Mr. Modi with 300 or 250. Will it matter to you? The exam will not change. You will only deal in when you are selected. So something can wait. Those who are fond in looking at football and cricket, account for it. Say if there is a match going on and you want to see India-Pakistan match, you require 3 hours. Account that 3 hours in the morning. Keep a Sunday free. Relax, wash your clothes, enjoy, abuse, go to anywhere. Because unless you abuse in a group, you don't enjoy. You enjoy. कुछ तो बोलेंगे ना when you are with friends. The language is not very polished. So there must be a vent out time. In your planning, please keep a vent out time. Where you are completely hooked. I know people are hooked for football and cricket or anything. Account that time. When I say 7 hours, one day can be 12. Account it for those 2 hours later. You want to go and see a film. Sunday is the time. You're going to go to the mall, eat well. But during 5 days, don't eat more. Did you ever realize this? Every time your tummy must be empty. Not fully, but not fully filled. Though even your best choice food is there, you can taste it and leave half of it. So those who keep their tummy less filled, take a lot of liquids, enjoy on one day, plan their time. For them, preparation is actually an enjoyment. If you think it is 24/7, you are burned out in 1 year itself. So you can now plan. Okay, now floor is open for questions. Any doubts?
So, I will be appearing for my graduation examination. So, I have 2 years left for graduation, and after that, I will be appearing. So, what should be my approach for these 2 years?
You can find 3 hours per day. And I said prepare the NCRT first, then do English, the language, and start writing essays.
Sir, my problem is that I have English literature in my graduation, and the option for coaching classes is not so available. So, what should be my approach for my optional?
Yeah, ask them. They can tell you material, you read yourself. There's nothing wrong. Why do you require coaching?
Sir,
Why do you need a coaching after BA Honours done in English?
Sir, I looked at the question paper.
Yeah.
The questions were similar, but
Hmm.
I have a question that whether the approach of answering it is different or it is similar to the.
But that does not require much time. They can immediately tell you. I have already told you now that you look at the total content and see what is the best answer is possible. But if you expect them to teach you literature, that's not done.
No, I was.
So you got an advantage. Use your 3 years to prepare for your option in English. And prepare for CBSE books. Start doing. Read newspaper and a magazine right now. That's a good time. So you will require only 1 year after graduation. Yep. Any other question? Please.
Sir, as you said, to take English as the optional subject. Sir, is it a very wise choice to take language as an optional subject? Because the perspectives are very different from one another. Because I am also English on the literature student. So many stories there are open ends, there are different perspectives. Like I have been through the syllabus, and there are lots of dramatic monologue which are very, very open-ended, which nobody could say. So people.
I can only tell you, many students from South appear in their mother tongue. Lots of people appear with Telugu, Tamil, and Malayalam. You can definitely appear with English if it was a graduation subject.
So it's a common and worldwide language, English.
So,
But so it's don't you think it's a very big perspective? Like
no, the syllabus is given, which is university syllabus of BA.
Sir, I'm not asking about that. the syllabus is prospected many ways. Like I'm from India, I have a different perspective to that. If somebody is well versed in English, American literature, the prospect will be different for that person.
Okay, then
So in India, if we take one language from our mother tongue, that only have a limited area of prospect. So sir,
Okay.
that would be a problem.
have you taken English as a graduation subject?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you see UPSC syllabi?
I did.
Is it similar?
It's limited.
Examiner is going to from India. There's be no examiner from Europe. Paper setter would be from India. They would know how Indian education is done. They follow UGC guideline. So you are on the strong wicket. When you join civil service, whether you come from Sanskrit, Telugu, political science, you are all same. Because there are 4 general papers, it's actually a boon. If you work on your subject which you studied for 3 years, you don't know what advantage you have. All that they can help you to bring the literature available. We had discussed yesterday when Dipanjan was there. You are still here. It's always built, good to build. And you specialize only in generally GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 and SE. If that you can do for them, they will manage. You never realize this. And that's most of you made a mistake. The time you spent on optional subject was disproportionate. For 500 marks, you have spent 1 year. If 1250 you spend 1 year, the outcome would be 50%. So if you have, for example, BCom, if they can do accountancy better, let them take accountancy. You may not have capability, but you can guarantee them a literature. If required, if there are 10 students, you can hire somebody to do this. So it is better to build on your capabilities. Only then you will be successful. Okay? And I can tell you will find much easier. Any other question? Yeah.
Sir, I am philosophy honors. So I should take.
Philosophy, yes, sir. Who stops you?
Sir, I am confused that I should take a scoring subject like geography or political.
There is no scoring subject. Sorry. There is no difference in any of the subject. All IIT students take either philosophy or anthropology. Do you know this? Bulk of the bright engineering students take either anthropology or philosophy. Because in 1 month they mug up the books. In anthropology only there are 2 books. Am I right? Why would you learn? The confusion comes when they say you can do preliminary better if you do history. There's only 5 questions. Even if you don't do, it doesn't matter. Any other? Yeah. Little louder.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I would be appearing for the exam 2029. So, sir,
2029.
yes.
It's a long journey.
Yes, sir. So, from which year should I start reading the notes of the newspaper and start reading?
So currently develop practice of writing, reading newspaper and magazine as a regular basis. Repeat the books of CBSE. Slowly start reading other books to develop your hobby. Keep in mind that you read some books, so take it most simpler, 2 hours per day kind of thing. Other than newspaper, read a book on sociology, read a book on political science. So there is a time. You must ensure when you are 29, the same year you should qualify. Still there are 4 years to go. So those who have 3 years to go, the moment they appear, they must qualify. Okay? But it must be a regular thing. And there are question papers you must attempt. For example, in between you can attempt West Bengal Public Service. You may appear in Staff Selection Commission. You may appear in banking exam. To just keep a practice. Any? Any other among the boys? Boys are very shy to ask questions, or they think they are not here. Are you mentally here or out? You're here? Okay. So everything is fine? Did I explain? Does it not raise any questions in your mind?
So,
Yeah.
if you had 1 year and you were an UPSC aspirant, what would your timetable be?
Not possible in 1 year. No. Unless I am bright, learn to practice 7-8 hours. And the method is do the mains first, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 in SE. For first 4 months, December start prelim and get it through. But it requires, and you must be bright to comprehend what you study. And your powers to write was already there. So for a normal student, it's not possible. I am so sorry to say.
Sir, one more question, sir. When you're reading NCRTs, how should we read NCRT? On the
Did you see NCRT book?
yes, sir.
Look at them, and there are questions in the end.
Yes, sir.
Try to answer them. They will not be given answer by what is given in the text in the book. You have to read more.
Right, sir. Just okay, so we have to be thorough with the NCRT.
You have to be thorough. You have to be thorough. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Sir, if you are following the correct procedure for preparing UPSC, but still if you do not get the success, so what is the correct time to stop preparation and go for something else?
Not more than 3 attempts. Stop at them. Because the chances in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attempts is only about 8%. And many of them have been in the reserve category. General category are very few. So take your first attempt when you are ready. Take not more than 3. Stop. Any other question from the back? No? If you ask question, it will be better for you. Just try to ask a question. Just for nothing. Just make an attempt to ask a question. Because one of the thumb rule of learning is, when you read a chapter, a lot of questions should come in your mind. If the questions don't come, your answer will not be right. Then you will mug the book. This is the difference. Every time you read, question must come. Some question come out of your weakness, so there's time to overcome the weakness. Some question must come to more understanding it. And I'm sure whatever I have spoken, there may be a lot of questions in your mind. If there are no questions, can we stop? Or Dipanjanji, anybody out of the faculty like to ask me? Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Sir, you are asking about the self-assessment of either mere reading. For prelims, it's relatively easier because it's objective questions. My question is about mains. How we can self-assess that we are mains ready. Because in prelims, we can do previous year question, we can solve question within limited time, and we can see how much we can attempt the questions and accuracy is done. What should be your criteria for the assessment of mains, including the optional set?
See, normally speaking, each candidate, and I'm sure you all have done it, when you come out of the examination hall, you know what have you done. Am I right in presuming? And if, when I was a young child, my father would ask me how many marks I will get. And I will say 80, and if I get 75 is okay. But if I get 60, I have made a wrong assessment. So when you learn, look at the question papers and the marks you are likely to get. You yourself know where you stand. An honest candidate who is honest to himself knows actually what he has answered. I don't know whether you've done this test.
Yes, sir.
Every time I could do how much I've done correctly. This is a habit we have to cultivate. is required. It's possible. You know on a given topic, you knew a lot of points. If you are given 5 correct points, you know you will get maximum. The description in UPSC is not writing pages and pages. Idea is to give your views on a given situation. And these views must be backed by some quality stuff. That's the difference. So it can be done as precisely. And if you look at the paper 2, mains, GS1, GS2, the questions are about 3 marks, 5 marks, 10 marks. There is not an expectation required to define this. No, nothing. So actually you know. And the success of a candidate is when he is preparing, he knows what does he know about that topic. And difficulty is that you don't try to ask that question yourself. So UPSC learning is not a robotism. It is self-development. And I can assure you the kind of difference which will come in your personality, even if you are not successful, that you might be successful in a second career much better. Because now you know about the country, you know how to present your ideas, you know how to write, you know how to speak. So all these things will come in you. So advantage is multifold. Because you have read so much. In university you didn't read much. Here you are reading enormous things. This single habit of reading a newspaper and a magazine makes you a very enriched person. Otherwise you have to mug up what are the parameters or indices for development. If you read a newspaper, you know GDP is given, happiness index is given, so it becomes your day-to-day activity. You know what I'm saying? Do this exercise for a month and then realize. Whatever I said, if you do for a month, and if there are questions, you come back. We'll try to answer. Okay? Yes. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for the valuable insights that you have shared. And I would like to request every one of you that just, after sir is done, sit for some time and try to think upon what sir has said. Try to note down the points. And then if you have any follow-up questions, we can have further sessions. And sir, thank you so much for your insights and sharing with us your valuable knowledge.
I wish you all very best. And each of you can make it if you want. It's up to you. There is nothing written on anybody's face that you can't. You are a successful person once you decided to do it. Okay? Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
ছেলেরা কোনো কথা বলছো না কেন? Boys, what? Don't you have questions or are you not engaged? No, are you doing this because your parents have said to do something, get yourself involved? I'll come back to you with the same question. Yeah, so
That's I stand here.
I'm standing.
I stand this way.
Yeah.
Now, you want to get up?
Yeah, please get up, everybody.
I stand here. Yeah. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, I'm joining you. Well, come back to the same point. How many of, let me just forget that there are girls in the room, only for the boys.